Okay, another week, another huge line for the Georgia Bulldogs. They are considered a 44-point favorite to beat the Kent State Golden Flashes. And if you've watched Kent State this season, you know they're not horrible. Um, they're not horrible. When you watch their game against Washington, they scored, stuck with UW a little bit, and then obviously the most curious game that they played thus far was against Oklahoma, 7-3 for OU at the half. So it's UW scored on Kent State, but Oklahoma had a hard time doing that in the first half. So this line being that high is another indicator of where Las Vegas and betting folks feel like Georgia is at right now, which is as a huge significant favorite, um, just period right now. I mean, it is astonishing how high some of these numbers are. We've already seen a 50 plus line. Georgia was a 25-point favorite on the road in the SEC against against not Vanderbilt. Um, I hesitate to. I mean, they might be a 30-point favorite against Missouri. I don't think that's out of the question at all. But so what does this all mean? I don't. I think part of what's going on here is that people saw the South Carolina game, and that is going to be one of the final games that we see from the Dogs until really they get further down the line. I mean, no one's going to pay attention to the Kent State game, and they've got Missouri, and then Auburn is not going to be. I mean, it might be on CBS, so that might be another opportunity to just throttle somebody. But this season, I mean, Georgia looks really strong right now. Our resident betting expert, degenerate, whatever you want to call it, Purple Brave over on Dog Post. If you're not taking advantage of our website, you're really missing out on just a really great community of posters and knowledgeable folks. He keeps up Purple Brave with betting trajectories over time. After coming into the South Carolina game, the Kent State game was somewhere around 47. It's at 44 or 45, depending on where you look. Right now, it looks like Georgia's going to be about a 4 touchdown favorite over Missouri. I think that number could go up. Um, about a 3 touchdown favorite over Auburn, a 40 plus point favorite over Vanderbilt. That would mean that would be one of the largest lines ever for Georgia against an SEC school. It might be the largest ever. It looks like they could be a 3 touchdown favorite over Florida. The Tennessee game is moving closer to a 2 touchdown favorite at home. That is still a lot over a team that can score the way Tennessee can. Mississippi State's going to be somewhere around 2 touchdowns, maybe 17 points. That game's on the road, of course. The one that's curious is the Kentucky game, um, and we'll see if that goes any higher. Georgia's somewhere around a 2 touchdown favorite there, and then the Georgia Tech game could be in the 40s, if not higher. And once you get to that point, you're talking about the probability of the other team winning is virtually non-existent. These are games that um, like just for instance, when you take a look at some of the shocking games over the last week with the Sun Belt, and the Sun Belt is not a bad team, not a bad league. Whether people want to recognize that or not, I'm not sure. But the Sun Belt is not a bad league. But Georgia Southern was only, and I want to give you the exact correct number here. Georgia Southern was not, like a 40-point dog at Nebraska. They were a 23-point dog. App State, I think, was somewhere in the same ballpark. And Marshall winning at Notre Dame, I mean, it's surprising for sure. I mean, App State was only, an 18-point dog at Texas A&M, and that was considered a huge um, upset. The games that we're talking about right now would be even bigger than that. I mean, like the there's a huge difference between being a 17 or an 18-point favorite and a 40-point favorite. Marshall was a 20-point dog at Notre Dame, and that was a shocking, shocking win for people. Um, I don't, I don't know, but it is, for Georgia an opportunity to go out, get your guys in there, play another game. I don't think you want to see Kent State score. Now that's easy to say, but because any one play can pop, and field goals are not impossible things, but I think that would be your goal if you're Georgia this week. Can you stop them from scoring? Then possibly, I would not touch this line myself. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION today. This is our look at the 2021 national championship season for Georgia. It keeps opening up to the same page all the time. Just some really awesome storytelling as well as imagery. Probably the imagery a little bit stronger than the words, but nonetheless, a great look at the 2021 season. Make sure you're picking yours up today. I think, there's some other games this week that are kind of curious. I think people are getting concerned, or they're watching Clemson, one of the two. That line, I think, opened at 10. Yeah, and it's down to 7 for their game against Wake Forest. They're on the road. I think they'll win, but that's a touch of a problem right there. By the way, Georgia is 43-0 since 2010, being favored by at least 22 points. So the South Carolina win falls in that category. And I don't know if y'all are going to be yawning during this game or not, but my suspicion is you probably will be. There are some good games this weekend. Georgia Kent State is not one of them. Now look, I'm gonna talk about this a lot this week because I don't want folks to get confused. There's a lot of people that are asking already about this game and can you watch it on television? You cannot watch this game on traditional television. It is not on an antenna. It is not available through cable. You're going to need to have the SEC Network Plus. Okay. Now, there's an article that we've got over on Dog Post. I guess I will link it below. A lot of people are watching this and they've seen the article. If you have family members or friends who are not super technologically competent, you're going to need to help them this week if they want to watch the Georgia game. This is not a game that it's on a channel. That's not what's going on here. So the story behind this is that every single team in the SEC, at least once a year, specifically once a year, will play a game that is only streaming. Now, why is this the case? This is a part of the agreement that Disney and the SEC created in their contract that came up in 2020. So that started with the 2020 season, which of course was a COVID year. But like for instance, last year, I believe the Charleston Southern game was the streaming game a year ago. I'm going to look that up because I could be wrong. So I'm going to go mosey on over to Dog Post and just double check that that was the game. Yes, it was. Charleston Southern was the plus game. And they put Georgia on the Samford game on the SEC Network at 4. And in this case, it's going to be SEC Plus for the Kent State game. There's not going to be another game. I'm just looking at the schedule. There's not going to be another game Georgia plays that is to the level of a streaming game. And, this is happening because of course, the money. You have to have a subscription to ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus to get this. So there's a bit of a rigmarole about this, but I talk about it on the site about how you cannot watch this game on television. You have got to have some sort of a streaming package for it. SEC Network SEC Network Plus is complementary to the SEC Network, offering exclusive digital events. It is accessible with your TV provider credentials and is available via the ESPN app on smartphones, tablets, connected streaming devices, or at espn.com/watch. So, if you have a Roku TV, you can just put this on there and it will work. but you're going to need to sign in and do all that stuff first. But this is a huge line for Georgia. We'll see if they cover it. I think it's going to come down to if they're going to allow Kent State to score or not.